So
What's
what
up
are
with
we
you?
talking about? What's our topic today, brother? I know you were
All right,
bringing
man.
something forward. Let's go.
Yeah, so you heard the fit tip. So we're gonna start with abs. Okay. I only got 2 minutes to do that. What are some keys for abs? A lot of people think it's just the ab work. They think it's the crunches, the leg raises. So dive into that. We know you got a six pack. I got a six pack about half of the year. So let's talk about it.
I think the first thing that people got to understand is everybody's got abs. Even though you can't see them, they're just a very well kept secret under an inch of fat.
Yep.
So here's the thing, and you've all heard this before, abs are made in the kitchen. And you're talking to a guy. Spent the first chunk of my life. I was a fat little son of a bitch. And I was one of those guys that thought that doing all the sit ups and thought I was backwards as hell in what I was trying to do. And I worked to get my abs tirelessly the wrong way and made absolutely no progress.
Yep.
From the standpoint of if you think you're going to exercise your abs to the surface, you're going to help them look a little better when you do get the fat off. But you got to remember, you want the fat off. You can do sit-ups till the cows come home. You can't do enough sit-ups to outrun that poor diet.
Exactly. And when John says that, he's not saying don't work your abs at all. You
Oh,
can still do ab isolation. You can still do the rollouts. Yeah, you can do the leg raises, whatever it is. Still build the abs. But Real Deal Prime just hit it. Compound exercises. You're working
this
your abs on squats. You're working your abs on deadlifts. You're working your abs on big compound movements. A lot of people don't realize that either.
you don't need to you're doing a squat workout. You got a number of good sets of squats. You're getting plenty of all sorts of core, let's call it, not just the abs. You're getting everything. So, yeah, I totally agree. If you're doing compound movements every day, a good chunk, or I should say every day, the days you're training, you're getting a good chunk of that work out of the way just by the nature of the movement.
Yes,
So,
sir.
yeah, that's 100% correct, my brother. What would
Yes,
you
sir.
say in terms of giving some sort of an actionable tip to help people? We just established that the kitchen is the biggest place to get started. Let's throw some actionable tips out in terms of helping people get those abs. And here's the thing. I want to start off by just pointing out when if you're going to commit to getting your abs, you're going to have to commit to eating on more of a regular basis. So many people get up and they don't eat until noon and blah, 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 blah. And here's the thing. If you're not feeding, your body is going to your metabolism is going to be going at a slower pace. Your metabolism will wake up when you feed it the proper food, small feedings throughout the day. If you want to get those abs, don't overcomplicate it. Just think about eating. When I say don't even think about a meal, just think about eating a little something about every 3 hours. It doesn't have to be perfect. That right there will take so many of you guys and it'll move you in the right direction very quickly. And there's going to be a whole lot of other positive side effects that are going to come along with that, such as better energy, better focus. The list goes on. But we're talking about getting abs. So, what would you say, brother? What's another actionable tip we can throw at them?
Increase protein intake.
Mm-hmm.
Increase
Mm-hmm.
your water intake.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had to add another one, I'd probably say if you're going to cut, you still want carbs, but you might want to reduce the carbs and change the carbs that you're taking in if you want abs. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, 100%. It's there. You're going to have to manipulate your diet to get where you want to go. And here's the thing another thing that I think that we got to touch on is that so many people think, oh, I'm going to get my abs for this cruise. I'm going to get my abs for the summer, whatever it is,
Doesn't
right?
work like
Here's the
that.
thing. Here's the thing. You hear me talk about habits all the time. You live your daily life with I should say enough, a handful, a few positive habits that continues to get you in better shape. And you live by these, you start to realize how helpful they are. What's going to happen is I've had abs for 30 years. And it's because of the way that I live my daily life. And it doesn't mean that I'm starving myself. Doesn't mean I'm doing a bunch of freaking cardio I don't want to do. I
Yeah.
like to lift weights and I like to eat. And I do both of those and keep my abs. And here's the thing. The diet is the hardest part because the diet is every day. Training might be 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, however you're set up. But it's the diet. And explain to them how I guess you'd say how simple the diet can be. People get so bent out of shape about, oh my God, my diet, oh, this, that, and the other. It doesn't have to be that way. Talk about that, Marty.
I'll say this: if your diet is boring, you're probably doing the right thing. Now you can switch up your protein, switch up your carbs, switch up your vegetable. That's the formula. That's the format you're gonna have to stick with. So it's gonna be boring. Some people like to throw in cheat meals every now and then. That's cool as well. But for I would say it has to be 90-10, honestly, if you want abs, really 95% clean, 5% dirty or cheat meals. But it's gonna be repetitive and you're gonna have structure. And structure is boring, but that's how you get things done.
And let's take this a step further. So as I just explained, I've been doing this I've had abs for 30 plus, about 30 years roughly. And I help people that want to get in shape. My clients, I have plenty of people that want to come and get in great shape, that want more energy, blah, and they're very concerned about having a diet that is, as you just said, boring, which is most people, oh my God, they want the pleasure of food. Here's the thing. Once you actually get into a groove, first off, you're going to realize, holy shit, I feel great. Most people don't know how bad they feel until they finally feel good. But what happens, and it happens literally with all of my clients, is as they start to eat better, the right foods, the timing, they start to feel so much better. It's an elevated feeling. I would say somewhere around that 2 month mark. I give them the ability to go have cheat meals because I want them to experience what I'm going to explain right now for themselves. I don't want to tell them. I want them to experience it. So I give them that cheat meal. They go have whatever they have. Like the last one I can remember was a client that was just a couple of days ago. I had some Mexican food. And what he said was, I'm never doing that again. I felt so bad. And I said, okay, I'm going to randomly be rotating those in. If you want to use it, it's your choice. He felt so bad. He made the choice. He wasn't going to do it anymore because he wanted to stay feeling good and elevated. So for those of you that are worried about a diet being boring, just so there's a whole nother world out there. And when it's something you don't want, you're not missing anything.
Yeah, and you got to change your mindset towards food. You change your mindset that food is fuel and not something for pleasure. Eating food for pleasure got you the gut, but got you to get out of shape. It got you to the body that you don't want. That's why you blowing up my phone and blowing up John Anderson's phone. So you change your mindset towards food. That'll probably eliminate some of the problems and some of the issues and some of the insecurities that you have about your stomach.
And here's an interesting, it's a little, so listen to what I'm going to say next and ask yourself, which side of the fence do you land on? Because there's two schools of thought with people when it comes to food. Are you living to eat, or are you eating to live? Think about that.
I like that, John.
Because if I'll tell you right now, if you're living to eat, you don't realize that food has you basically created your own prison walls because you're thinking about, oh my God, I'm going to eat that later. Oh my God, food has become, it's taken over your mind. And here's the thing. I want to really, granted, you got to take accountability for this, but there's so much going on with our food that you're being duped. You're eating these processed foods that have chemicals that are addictive. And so if you've fallen into the trap of living to eat, there's an element to this that's what's happening and you don't even realize it's happening. So if you're one of those people, really think that through. And if you get away from the processed foods with these addictive chemicals, it only takes a couple of weeks before you start to realize, man, I don't have that thing. It's like an alcoholic, man. When an alcoholic needs a drink, it's all I can think about because he's addicted. We now have food addictions in a major way. It's not just sugar. It's all this bullshit chemicals they're putting into
Yep.
food.
And here, Liam Jones says, we hear that, but there's a happy medium. Food is something to be enjoyed, obviously, not to excess, but we are here for a transient amount of time. No, absolutely. And you can enjoy food, but it's not here for our pleasure every day for every meal. That's not what food is for. That's not the purpose of food. And I tell my clients this all the time. Like I had somebody come up to me the other day. They're like, yeah, I don't like how my stomach's looking. And I keep it real with people. I'm a straight shooter, right? You have to look at what your body looks like now is, let's say you're 30 years old or 40, you're 40 years old. Your body right now is a sum of the decisions you've made. So whether that's the food you ate, whether that's the workouts you miss, the sedentary life you live, or That is the decision. That's from the decisions that you made. You got to look at it like that. You can't just blame genetics. Even though six pack, you can say genetics. You got to be accountable and really take a deep dive at what you've done and realize what you need to change.
And going back to what this gentleman said, I think it was Liam, that here's the thing. When I eat what I want to eat because the foods that I like, they taste good, they make me feel good. I don't want at this phase of my life, I've been on this side of the fence long enough. I don't want the foods that most people would want to cheat on because A, they don't really taste good to me. Chemically, food does not taste good. If it doesn't, I put it in my mouth. I want nothing to do with it. And it makes me feel like shit.
Yep.
So when you actually, so Liam, what I'm getting at is once you start to eat in a way that is really good for your existence as a human being, your body's going to get rid of the want for this pleasurable food. Excuse me, at least if it's processed and that kind of stuff. So just remember, I totally understand where most people are coming from. Oh my God, I don't want to just eat this boring stuff all the time. And I
Yep.
totally get it. Just remember, if you're doing it right, it will not be that way. Because when it comes down to it, at the end of the journey, or even chunk way through the journey, if it's done properly, you're eating the stuff that you're actually craving, and your body's calling for what it wants. Unfortunately, people are eating processed foods. Your body's calling for those addictive chemicals.
And you see what Rick says here, wild animals don't seem to eat for pleasure, but we humans certainly need a mind shift in this area. I can't agree more because think about it, John. We humans blame everything for gaining weight, blame everything for getting obese, but I don't see any obese lions and tigers out here. I don't see that. So clearly we're the only mammals doing something wrong, right? We're the only mammals that have that type of mindset towards food. And if it changes, we'll
Well,
change.
and here's the thing, I guarantee you, if we took a pack of lions and we fed him the shit we're eating, that son of a bitch would be tired, he'd be fat, he'd have all the same problems we had. It's what we're eating that's doing it to us.
Absolutely.